most of those people are focused on designing products in China for China.
Help me understand this some more. What type of products? You mean like refrigerators or?
We tend to focus on the three major areas of our business here. So I'd say aviation, energy, all different aspects of energy, and healthcare.
Okay.
Healthcare is probably the easiest example because it's taking products, which, global products, and an MRI. How do you strip that down, scale it down? How do you take something, how do you make it for the Chinese market, right? So
it's taking innovation from the past, looking at it again, and applying it to the local.
Part of it's that. Probably a bigger part, though, is saying, okay, starting from scratch, right? So, we have...
Is there a better way to do it?
Is there a better way to do it? Is there a better way of doing it? Is there, you have in China, they have, all the X-ray machines are analog, right? Now, you could say, okay, I'm going to design a digital X-ray machine, which is probably the traditional way it would approach. You would have gone in, you'd developed it globally, it would eventually kind of got to China.
I see where this is going, though. If you suddenly give this to the Chinese market, some of the hospitals won't be ready for that.
That's right, so they can't afford it. So we found, what if we work with the Chinese hospitals, understand what they need?
Their process.
And we found there is other ways to make an analog machine digital, which is going to be a lot cheaper. It's quick, we can go to market now. Now, the interesting thing is that as we do these applications, we find that they're scalable everywhere else around the world. So actually, reverse innovation is you do the innovation in a different part of the world.
Localize the product.
Localize the product.
Then reintroduce it.
Scale it globally. And eventually, it feeds back into your home markets.
On January 18, 2013, GE unveiled the results of its third annual Global Innovation Barometer, which indicates that China is perceived as the third most innovative country, surpassing Japan for the first time.
What has changed in China in the last 12 months?
Well, I think it's kind of interesting what's happening in China. Innovation is now becoming much better understood, and I think particularly in China where people understand how important it is for China's future. In my mind, innovation is the key that makes China a high-income society rather than just being caught in the middle-income trap. And so having people thinking about, well, how do we innovate? What do we innovate? What's the new things that China's going to lead the world in? And I think as we take these pulses, that's coming through loud and clear. It's how important innovation is to China's long-term growth.
China has said they're looking for someone like a Steve Jobs or a Bill Gates to lead this innovation. But from what I'm hearing you say, it sounds like you think maybe innovation is more collective. It might come from a large group rather than from an individual. What do you think?
We believe in open plan innovation, and we think it has to be global, right? So a country doing innovation by themselves is going to be limited by their geographic. Company or someone who can innovate globally is going to tap into the best talent around the world. So we think that the boundary should be open. And China's starting to think that way. So something else the survey showed was that Chinese companies are much more open now to partnering on a global basis to innovate. And that's wonderful news, because that's where a company like GE can really play a part in being part of that innovation for process. So it should be more collaborative.
Well, Mark, I read somewhere that GE's $5.8 billion operational revenue from China is partly due to your keen understanding of China. Mm-hmm. What is this keen understanding of China? The CEOs watching want to know.
Yeah. Well, I think I've been around China for 20 years, so I think that's important because I've seen what it was like before, and I've seen what it's achieved over the last 20 years particularly. So, and I think having that lens to me on China is very important.
Talk specifically what you've seen in these 20 years. In what ways?
Well, you you look around you here, and I always say this to my colleagues around the world: is you don't read the China in the press, right? You see in the United States. You've got to be here, and it's extraordinary what's happened here. The pace of change compared to 20 years ago. But as I said earlier, it's on a journey. This is a 50-year journey, and we have to realize that there's going to be bumps in the road along the way. And they asked me to do this job. I jumped at the chance because I thought, here's an opportunity to work in China. I couldn't ask to be in a better place for growth. In a company like GE, it's all about growth. So here I am in the country which is going to grow more than anywhere else in the world. that is going to be on a global scale more important than anywhere in the world and needs the kind of things that we do.